sir.
We're
Larry?
we're whispering.
Oh, we're quiet. That's what they're recording audio.
Yeah, because we're on set with Von Gittin Jr.
We are.
Yeah.
And they're getting inserts.
Yeah. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Larry Chen here. We're in West Virginia, actually, at the Seneca Circuit. Is that what it's called? Yeah. This is my buddy Max, and we're actually gonna do a fun little thing. We're actually gonna do a feature on his camera car, and it's kind of interesting because you said this to me before.
This happened because of you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You hear that, guys? Zach, MotoCrane. Come on, you guys know. This is so sick.
Marketing works.
Yeah, marketing works. So this is fun for me because it's not like I went out of my way to search for this car feature. You just happen to be on the same set that I'm shooting.
Yeah.
And of course, it's like a legitimate, you know, Von Gittin Jr., Chelsea Denofa, Lauren Healy. This thing is putting in work, and we could see just from the outside how dirty it is. In terms of camera cars, so like the Corolla one was kind of like a concept, right? So Zach from MotoCrane reached out to us like, hey, maybe it's possible Hoonigan can potentially work together in some fashion, and we're coming out with this new crane, which is the MotoCrane, which is the one that you're running here.
Yep.
We're like, yeah, it would be cool to do something. So I'm like, all right, trying to figure something out. Story is, Toyota reached out to me to see if I would be interested in building a Corolla hatchback. Okay. Right? So that's interesting.
There goes talent.
Yeah, there goes talent. Bye, Chelsea. The crazy thing is it's cool for me because Toyota's coming out with a enthusiast car. It's manual transmission, and the first thing that I thought when I looked at that car is like, hey, it kind of looks like a rally car. But then with the opportunity from MotoCrane, wouldn't it be cool to put a crane on top of like kind of like a rally inspired build, you know, with the throwback Castro livery, but it's all blacked out.
Yeah, and you guys killed it on that. The flaps, the livery, like it was super cool. And you now seeing this, I think it's funny how we kind of aligned. Like camera cars always Cayenne, big SUV, something not as nimble. And I think you went the same route I did. Like, let's put it on something cool. Let's put it on something a little rally inspired that can do it all, you know? And that was my inspiration for this. And for your car at SEMA, it was the same thing.
So we actually had a chance to film a piece with Ryan Literal.
I remember that.
And I feel so bad. Like, we filmed a Nissan from a Toyota and they played the footage in the Toyota booth at SEMA. I'm so sorry, Toyota. I did not mean for that.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. But to redeem myself, we actually used the MotoCrane, flew it out to Florida, put it on a Tundra, and we actually filmed like a Supra bit with it.
Okay, was that on the NASCAR track?
Yes, that was on the NASCAR track.
That stuff looked great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And with that we actually used a Ronin 2 for that one too. So tell us a little bit about, let's start out with the crane setup, the camera stuff, then let's go on to the car.
Okay, I mean, obviously we'll start MotoCrane Ultra. First thing I'll say is like Zach and the team did a killer job. It's super easy, fast to set up. It's tough. I plug in a battery, turn it on, it goes, right? You can swing a full 360 in 7 seconds at like 90 miles per hour, which is gnarly. And driving around with it like on the track and also on the street, super fun, right?
Wait, so you actually drive this on the street?
All the time. If you're in Dallas, you may catch us on like the tollway, leading or chasing somebody.
Okay, because I was wondering, because I actually legitimately got a text message from a buddy in Texas. He's like, hey, check it out. I saw this on the street or at a gas station filling up. And I'm like, oh my God, I know that guy. Yeah.
We've got a tollway spot we film at in Dallas. It's just super epic looking. We joke around that they need to name an exit after us because we'll shoot something down there and I'll get like $150 toll bill from it.
Just going back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth, exit, get back on. It's like a 5 mile stretch and it looks epic and it's worth it, but I get those toll bills and I'm like, damn it.
So okay, we got the MotoCrane Ultra. Tell us a little bit about the gimbal setup you have.
We run Ronin 2 probably like 80% of the time. We run Movi XL2, but the R2, especially for this fast stuff, my goal is always smaller camera package so we get less wind resistance, right? We can go a lot faster with this than say a Movi XL with a huge camera package because you're catching wind, it's being pushed back into the car. The MotoCrane handles it great. The Flow Cine tranquilizer is a big part of keeping this stuff stable. So the head here takes care of the big movements. This is taking care of the micro vibrations. But most of the time we're Ronin 2, red package, and some sort of zoom, and it gets the job done.
And what kind of red are you running on this one now?
This is a Scarlet W. This is my personal camera. I run that a lot. For this shoot, we needed to do some fun night stuff that you'll see later. But for that, we rented a Gemini. So whenever we need to rent, we can, but the Scarlet W, I've had it for like 3 years now. It's a workhorse. We put it through a lot.
One of my favorite things about this crane setup is the shocks, right? So like this is a bicycle shock.
Yeah,
right?
Fox shock here. And then I don't know the brand of shocks here, but yeah, it's funny. Like you just tune them and you got the side-to-side axis, front and back.
Just how cute are these little
reservoirs? These little guys.
These reservoirs, and you can change the high and low. What's cool is last night I was editing some of my photos from the shoot, and there was one photo where the car was in the frame, and I was kind of shooting the car as part of like the behind the scenes story, and it was maxed out.
Oh, like, all the way dipped out here.
All the way dipped. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, that thing was working hard.
Yeah, man. We'll put this thing tuned up here and put the Ronin like full 90. With some of this drifting stuff, we come around corners. I like to tune it kind of loose so it can kind of sway with the cars. And yeah, this Ronin will be 45 degrees and 90 degrees sideways, and it holds it. You look at it and it looks like everything's about to break. And then you look on the monitor, it's just like steady.
Cool.
It's crazy.
All right, so let's move on to the interior.
Yeah.
I'll get on that side.
Gotcha.
So this is the craziest thing. For it to be a manual transmission.
Also, I'd like to note, this is the fun part of being on shoots, and we're what, day 3, Larry? So like you show up with a clean camera car that everything's like tucked away and nice, but when you do an overnight shoot with these guys, you got monsters sitting in the car, tools everywhere.
Yeah, vitamin water.
We've been jamming.
But what camera car has DEFI gauges?
I know, right?
You know,
fancy.
Like this is so cool. I absolutely love it. Yeah. So let's talk about the cameras, the crane setup a little bit here. This is a new controller. This is something I haven't seen yet. This
is their mini controller that they have. So you know the OG controller, it's kind of big, sits in your lap. But
that's the Street Fighter controller.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's full Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's smaller, so now you can dual op for a lot of these shoots. So something like this where we're not doing huge arm swings, I can op crane and Ronin at the same time, and then we got AC in the back.
So what is the current setup for this shoot, right? So you have your driver, and
I'm here opping the arm and Ronin.
Oh, and the gimbal.
Yes.
Okay.
So gimbal controller's right here. We got our monitor, and then we got Crispy in the back pulling focus for us, AC in.
Oh, okay.
So he's sitting back here.
All right, so then that kind of leaves one seat open for the DP or director.
Director, yeah. Okay. I'm DP in this shoot, and then Russo's director. So he's back in that corner telling us what he needs, and then we make it happen, right?
That's so cool. Okay, so 5-speed manual, Mitsubishi Motors.
So fun fact about this car, it's an 03, right? 03 came with steel roof. Every model after that's aluminum. So because of that, we picked this vehicle, which we'll get to the roof rack later, but we could only do it on an 03, and this 03 popped up, and that's why I bought it.
So what is this button here?
This is a push to talk. So we've got comms in the car, right? Here mine, right here. We've got 5 comm systems from Rugged Radios.
Oh, shout out to Rugged. These guys, dude. Love Rugged Radios.
It's the best. Lauren has it in his Ultra 4 car. I think Vaughn might too, I don't know. But we bought their system for in the car. These are our push to talks out. And then we have a Vox system here. So basically when I have this on and I'm talking, everyone in the car can hear me talking in the headset without pushing a button. But when I got to call out to somebody else, driver and me have push to talk. So call out to Vaughn, Chelsea.
Well, that's nice because it gets super loud in here.
Yeah.
Especially when you're following people like Von Gittin Jr. And Mr. Chelsea Denofa, which is the the bumper loser.
Yeah.
Or the
lots of carnage this
yeah.
week.
Yeah,
sure.
he's always on full throttle all the time.
Dude.
So you actually absolutely cannot hear each other at all unless you have some sort of radio system like this.
And they're quiet. Like, we'll have them on for like an hour or two at a time while we're out on track, and then you'll pull them off for some reason, and Chelsea or Vaughn will fly by, and it's surprising. It's like 5 times as loud when they fly by. You're like, oh crap.
All right, so let's check out the back a little bit here. So this harness bar setup kind of reminds me of what we did with the Corolla. And so what do you have mounted on here?
So it's NRG harness bar we mounted up. We've got Crispy's AC monitor here, V-lock mount. A lot of this wiring is our rugged radio system. So we have 3 comms back here if we want to go 3 wide. The rugged radio's control unit, if you will. And then we can rig up another monitor right here if we need a 4th, if we're running a 4-person team. So pretty simple setup. Like I think it's, again, like you and I align because we're used to working on cars. Like a lot of guys will run these crazy grip contraptions, but I was like, I'm just throwing a harness bar back here and you can super clamp to whatever you want.
Well, part of it is that you actually have to disassemble this pretty often because most of the time when you're actually running the crane, you're putting it on other cars, and that's the beauty of the MotoCrane.
Yep, that's correct. So yeah, we can pull everything off pretty quickly, including our rugged radios comm system. This plugs into a cigarette lighter, so if we fly somewhere, we can plug it all in and have comms in somebody else's car.
That's cool. Well, let's talk about the rack then. All right. So this is a pretty hefty setup that you guys made custom for this. So this is permanently attached?
Yep. Yeah, my buddy Alex Margiazzo in Texas built this rack for me, custom fabbed it. He works on a bunch of cool race cars and drift cars. Yep. Going up.
All right.
We'll finish it later.
Okay, we'll finish it later.
Camera car up?
Camera car's up.
Gotta look good around here.
Well, I guess we should continue the video. We were rudely interrupted by Mr. Director. Hello. Trying to shoot autofocus here.
He keeps screaming at me.
Guy, come on.
Man.
I'm sorry. Russo, if you see this, I'm sorry.
Hollywood dudes, man.
Man, you guys just had some insane chase runs.
Yeah. We just led Vaughn and Chelsea around the track, and it was crazy. Like some of my, and I'm not just saying this because it's my camera car, but probably like some of my favorite drifting chase footage ever. It's insane.
I have to say, you know, that's kind of the thing, is a lot of naysayers may say, hey, this might be just not the right car for this kind of duty, but I honestly think this is the perfect car for this duty. You get to row your own gears, you get to choose, you know, when you're in the power band, and on top of that, this is a performance rally machine. You know, it's relatively lightweight for an all-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
The thing about when you're shooting drifting, a lot of people don't realize this. When you're chasing or when you're following, you just having all-wheel drive, being able to out-brake them and out-corner them and out-grip them is such a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Especially we're dealing with demo cars that make 800 wheel, you know? We're outmatched on horsepower, but you're right, the braking, the all-wheel drive, and we need it because the car is loaded down with 400 pounds of camera rigs and people. It's your best shot at keeping up with cars like these, or staying in front of, more importantly, cars like these.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, is if you had a rear-wheel drive car, potentially you're trying to put down all the power in the rear wheels, especially if you're cornering. You just aren't able to floor it as early to get out of the corner. These guys I mean, Vaughn nearly just hit you just now, even.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we had Vaughn disappear under the camera, which means he was about this far from our bumper. Yeah, keep on.
Here it goes. Here comes the
Yeah, you want to watch.
Just when Vaughn gives a little tap.
Just about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He wanted to. Literally disappeared.
Oh, God.
Howdy doody. Oh my God. If maybe closer, because I was up there with Crenshaw with the drone, and we were watching it.
Oh, really?
And we legitimately thought he rear-ended you. We thought he rear-ended you.
I was waiting for it. I saw him come in, and then like I didn't see him anymore in frame, and I was like, oh, here it comes, which it would have been nuts. But at the same time, Vaughn's always just like, go, I'll go off your pace, and he does a good job. But again, like if this car was rear-wheel drive, we would have spun out. Like we couldn't do 50% of what we've been doing, because we're still catching four-wheel slides through turns, you know, with all this gear, and we're going real fast basically.
Well, because of the lower center of gravity, because this is essentially like a sedan rally machine, because it has a lower center of gravity, it doesn't affect it as much.
Yeah.
Versus if you had an SUV.
Yep.
You know, I've had a chance to be on so many sets with SUVs, and man,
The big arms too,
dude,
right?
the big arms,
30 feet.
when they start sliding, it's scary. It gets real sketchy.
For sure.
It gets real sketchy because it's super top heavy, and on top of that, when you have 5 people in the car, oh my God, you're weighing it down like so much.
Yep.
So let's talk about the car a little more, but first I want to address something that I got so many questions about all the time with the Corolla that we built. People are like, why do you have that fin? Why is it to keep it straight? Well, people don't realize that amount of wind resistance is the same amount of wind resistance you get from the camera, or very close.
Correct. Yeah, so say we have the arm full out to the side, you're getting all that wind resistance on the crane. That cutout is literally spec'd for that gimbal, that camera package. If we run Movi XL, you have the extender, so you put that on because it's a bigger gimbal, bigger camera package. So Zach and the team at MotoCrane really like thought out all that stuff for sure.
That's so cool that you have aero for your crane.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
need
pretty
more
cool.
on the car.
Yeah.
I think that might be the next step.
All right, so let's go over the car itself.
Yeah.
Can we check out the engine?
Yep.
It is yellow.
It's very yellow.
Tell me about the mods under the hood here.
So basically, I bought this Evo. It's a stock turbo pump gas car, and when I was looking for them, I wanted to make sure that I picked one up like that. I'm sure a lot of you guys know people do E85, big turbos, and they blow them up. They blow up transmissions, transfer cases. So I bought it like that. But it also had basic bolt-ons, cams, front mount, and a tune, and full exhaust. So it makes about 400 of the wheels on the dyno. So 400 all-wheel horsepower is pretty, it'll get it.
That's kind of the only way you'll be able to keep up with these guys. I mean, while they potentially have double the horsepower, they're also not trying to outrun you, and they're not trying to put all 800 down. What they're actually doing is, as you mentioned before, they're shaping their driving to you, because they honestly want the best footage of them also.
Which takes skills. Like, props to Chelsea and Vaughn. Like, we all kind of have to get together and work as a team, just like any camera car shoot, because this is dangerous, but also they know where they need to be in turns and the pace they need to run to where we can get the best shot possible, and it's not just us trying to tear across the track and go as fast as possible. So
cool. So 400. Well, tell me about the suspension.
BC hooked up some DS coilovers. They're digressive piston setup. I called them up. They told me they'd do a custom set. We talked about weight, people in the car, how much the crane weighed, and they gave us custom spring rates and decided the DSs were the best coilover, which I agree with, because what it does is it keeps the car planted, but when we hit things at high speed, it softens those blows. So it really helps with the camera, because it all goes back to the camera. The first bumps you see in the road, it's gonna hit your tires and your suspension. So that's your first line of defense to keeping footage smooth.
Because, so one of the things that people don't realize is that when we actually built our camera car, we actually raised it.
Yeah.
So we got RSR coilovers because the stock suspension would not be able to handle 1,000 pounds on top of it, you know?
Yeah, that's what you have in the car.
Yeah, so I mean, and then it goes up and down, you know, depending on how many operators you have.
Correct.
But this setup that you guys had today potentially could have been near 1,000 pounds extra on top of this car.
Yeah, I think so. We're probably in like the 8 to 1,000, give or take, and losing the car. So it's a lot of weight, and like Kegel's our driver, he can feel it, you know, and then you have the crane moving around. It's a lot more than just driving a car around a road course. There's a lot you got to compensate for with top heavy weight too. So we just put some big 265s on it. The car had 235s and it just wasn't cutting it around the track. So we got some Accelera 651s, which I also run on my drift car. They're super sticky, and it really helped out here to upgrade the tire. We felt a huge difference. I'm trying to think of what else mods wise. Obviously we have our wrap from Fortune Wraps. They did this really cool like embossing underneath, so we've got sponsor logos and Speed Patrol logos on the car. We got to stay at incognito, so we can't be a billboard, so they put stickers underneath. It creates this cool like,
oh my god, this
embossed layer.
But this thing took such a crazy beating,
dude.
Like
it's
this
filthy,
thing.
But it's cool.
Oh
you
my
can
god,
see the logos better when it's dirty.
It took such a crazy beating. So what is this for?
So this hitch, this needs to be tightened, but basically what we can do instead of the crane is run a black arm setup. Kegel and I created a custom piece that uses the front head of the MotoCrane as essentially a black arm or a single arm or a tilt arm like we have on the RZR. So we don't have to run a crane, we can do driver and just single op, running Ronin and Focus, so we can go off the back, and we're gonna build a front mount too.
That's cool because potentially you could even do higher speed stuff.
Yeah, we've done 130 off the back with the black arm style.
Wow,
it's crazy.
Impressive. That is really impressive.
So I think we talked about the rack. It's all custom fab bolted into the roof. Alex at Corsa Tech killed it with this. Oh, my new favorite mod, I'll show you.
Okay.
I was real excited about this.
So because this was a night shoot. Yeah.
We did test shots the night before. No one could see. So what do? We went to Walmart.
Light bar.
And picked up the light bar.
That's cool.
Now it's a bro camera car.
Yeah, I like that.
I can fit up with all these big trucks running around here.
Now you're gonna hit some sweet jumps.
Yeah. I need rallies.
Can we check out the battery setup? Is in the trunk or what?
Yes. Off the trunk.
So the MotoCrane, I know there are other systems that run off the car's power, but the MotoCrane system is actually a battery system, right? And that actually makes it easier because you don't actually have to tap into the car's power. Sometimes that's difficult. Yeah,
I'm not like good at electrical, so that's above my pay grade, and I could get somebody to do it, but we have a custom battery box here that's bolted to the chassis and then the power converter. But here's our it's essentially an e-bike battery, and man, I haven't run that thing out of battery once yet. So you charge it up, it charges in a couple hours, and sometimes in 1 hour after a shoot, and it runs the crane all day, which is cool because I don't have to worry about it.
So every day after a shoot day you take it out and you charge it?
Yeah, just to be safe. But I've done 3 days where it just stays in the car and we run it. So, and it's, you know, you can get certain sizes, wattages, ampage, whatever. This was the recommended one, but I think you could probably get half this size and still get away with a lot, because the design on the crane up and down doesn't burn battery. It's side to side because you're counterbalanced. Obviously this is for the viewers, you know all this. So if we're not swinging the arm a lot, we don't use hardly any battery.
Well, because these are just normal weights, right?
Yeah. When we fly the crane in, we'll go to Walmart and just pick up some weights.
And what do you do with them afterwards?
We return them. It's a Walmart rental program.
That's amazing.
The best rental program in the world.
That's amazing. So how much weight do you have on the back right now?
Good question. I think we're about like 145.
145. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
why
calling it.
potentially this could come out to about 350 pounds or so on
Yeah,
the car.
so you add that. It's funny, the truss are light, like I'm sure you remember, you can pick them up and almost curl the whole thing with one arm. But yeah, these are about 90 pounds each. You add the truss, you add the camera, you're 400 pounds for sure. So, and the reason why I don't know what that weight limit is because we run that camera package so much. I literally have them set aside to where we pop it on, we're ready to go. There's no balancing.
That's too cool. Well, thank you so much for showing us your rig. I love it so much. I mean, this is the fun thing for me when I'm on sets, when I'm shooting on set, because I'm usually the still photographer, you know. Sometimes I'll direct, but most of the time I'm shooting behind the scenes stills, and I'm shooting also like the main Class A stills. What I really am interested in, like the race cars are cool, but usually you find me more interested in the camera car.
Yeah.
You know, because it's the gadget part of us that we really enjoy. You know, tinkering with gadgets, and it's just camera gear. You want to talk about cool camera gear? It just melds both of my passions together so good. It's the coolest cars and also the coolest cameras.
That's the best part of it. Like you go on sets and you're just camera car unit. You've got a DP, a director, but every industry person and even talent, like they all come over and they want to check it out. It's like having a supercar. Like everyone wants to check it out. We love showing it off. It puts smiles on people's faces. And when camera car's up, it's all eyes on camera car. What do we do? What do we shoot? And everyone's typically stoked. So that's my favorite part about having this for sure.
I think on that note, that is a wrap for sure. And I'm wrapped too from this set. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah.